Welcome to another episode of the Alumni Podcast. We have a very special guest, Jesse Alvarez. This bro is freaking cool as shit, man. I know he had like a clothing brand in high school. I know, he used to hang out with Cooper. We had Cooper on. We might have to bring him back on. It's one of the lost episodes, but we'll get into that later. I'm here with my man, T. Smith. What's up, T?
Doing all right, brother. Doing all right. I'm excited for this episode. I wrestled with Jesse in high school for a couple of years, and he had the best eyes. Voted the best eyes in high school. Those baby blues.
Man,
I'm stoked for this. This
I'll
is gonna
confirm,
be a good
bro.
episode.
Very nice. Very nice.
I appreciate you guys.
100%.
All right, man. That being said, T, why don't you kick us off, bro?
Yeah. First one's real easy. It's just a real basic 1 to 10. How would you rate the Santa Monica High School experience? 0s would be absolutely detrimental to your mental health. 10 would be you'd go back tomorrow and relive the whole experience. What was your quick take on high school?
Yeah. I would probably say it probably falls in between an 8 and 9, I would say. I think we all can't call it a perfect 10. There's probably a lot of things we could go back to adjust and do differently or try something differently then that we couldn't get to. But I would say, yeah, in between that for sure. Yeah, I think that's where I'd live.
One of the highest ratings on Alumni Pod history.
That's
Wow.
official. That is the highest. If he's going 9, like not a soft 9, but a
if
9, that's
he
definitely
hit the threshold of 9, that's the highest, bro. That's
We'll hit an 8.5 just to be in the mix of it all.
right.
Sure.
Room for
We got
improvement.
8.5. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Pretty dope. And you're the honorary member of the first hot seat on the segment that we're going to do today. Right now is the hot seat. And Jesse, you get the honor of doing the first on the
All right,
Alumni
let's do
Pod.
it.
5
Pretty
questions.
much feed the ducks for this shit because why
Play a
not?
little background sound, feeding the ducks. You
Basic
get 2 hall passes.
There you go.
If any of these are too hot to handle, just hall pass, and it'll be all good. 5 questions. First hot seat is going to be great.
All right.
These are supposed to be uncomfortable, so
Got
that's
it.
the way it is, but
Yeah.
and then we'll
that
get
works.
into our other segments here.
Sounds
First
good.
one. Who was your high school crush, and did you ever shoot your shot?
Man, you guys are gonna make this uncomfortable. Yeah.
Right?
Jeez. Okay. I mean, that is. I'm trying to remember. Go back a little bit that far back and
Right.
see. Yeah, I had a pretty big crush on a senior when we were freshmen, and she was on the soccer team, and it was just kind of a hopes and then, but it was just like the young guy. And had I probably been a few years older, probably would have been something different, I would say. But no, that's probably like the closest. I don't want to give too specific on name,
Right.
but it's
But
just
you tried. You tried, is what you're saying?
yeah, oh yeah. You
My
you
man.
have to. It doesn't
You
hurt to
have
try.
to.
Yeah,
You made us proud here,
Yeah.
Jesse. You made us proud.
yeah.
He's
They'll
always
take it.
trying to- I love that. Okay. That's the first question. You still get 2 hall passes. Remember that.
Okay.
Who did you have beef with, or you just didn't have a good vibe around in high school?
Let's see.
T. Smith, I'm just playing.
You're off the show. I'm ending the recording if you say that.
Right? Yeah, that's it. It's a wrap. No, I don't think I really had, to be honest. I don't think I had like a real feeling for beef with anybody, or didn't really like. I think if there was like sports related, I wasn't always the biggest fan of like the water polo dudes.
Okay.
And that may be like the big of it, but I can't call anybody in particular. I think that I was fortunate to be cool with a lot of different people and different backgrounds, and just try not to like bump heads, and kept it simple. I think we find our annoyances here and there, but that was it. Honestly, I don't think I really had any other ones.
Honestly, I believe Jesse on this. Like, I don't see many fights or like people beefing with. I don't see that as the personality that he is. I don't see that. So
when we were in our wrestling days, like we'd all come out and the different sports would be against each other, and played football and made the switch fully to wrestling, and kind of like, I guess that natural kind of antagonizing, push each other and, talk a little shit, whatever it's going to be. But that's probably the big of it.
That's legit.
Yeah.
That's legit. Question 3. You're just mobbing these. I love it. Did you
Ah.
drink in high school? Why or why not?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
When we were not in season, yes. I think my crew, and it's not like it was like every weekend kind of a thing, but I, didn't shy away from like a good time or meeting people or, did not overdo it though, especially, I mean, Tyler, you and I can very much understand cutting weight and what that
Right.
entails.
Right.
But yeah, anytime we were able to have a little fun, we did my partake. I'll take it.
An honest man.
Yeah.
Honest man. Question 4. Do you recall what your most embarrassing or awkward high school moment was? Anything that comes to mind?
Oh man. Most embarrassing moment. Oh gosh. It'll take me a second. I can't think of one right now, to be honest. I can't think of something that's coming to mind. I think like again, a lot of wrestling stuff, like having to drop draws to make weight, and it's like in the high school and just in front of other people
Yeah.
is an uncomfortable setting, and
wearing singlets is pretty bad in high school.
It's already one
You're
thing,
wearing
yeah.
spandex in front of I mean,
yeah.
we're at an awkward
But-
stage already. Like, come on, why are they gonna do that? You got headgear
know.
on? Like, what are they doing?
Let it go. Exactly. I think anything, just like, come on. But yeah, embarrassing moments. I mean, I think safe to say is probably like if I've been out, had an embarrassing moment, but I can't think of anything at school. Yeah. I feel like I'm no fun right now. I'm giving too honest of an answer right now.
That's right. You gotta fudge it a little bit. Well,
Yeah.
I know this is a fact for you in high school that you did have your first kiss, but who did you have your first kiss with, if that was in high school? And I know it probably wasn't that senior that was on the soccer team, but if you want to say the name, you can say the name. I don't know. Yeah.
Let's see. The first, you know what? Gosh, I'm trying to think the high school wise. Man. So I started a little bit earlier with the kissing. I think we all had a little middle school fun, so that was probably not as appropriate to now, but freshman year, we'll just even call it. I had a girlfriend, I think, in most of it. Yeah, it was a previous ex that I knew for a long time. I think she was an ex. We don't have to get into her name.
Good.
Yeah.
He's a married man. Yes, he got married in September. Congratulations again. He's going to Thailand. So that's great.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I like these questions though. You're going to catch a lot of people off guard if you're going to do stuff like this for sure.
Right.
Thank you for being the first segment, the brave frontier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no passes. Let me see who else can do it.
I know.
Yeah,
let's go.
that's the new challenge. If you can get through it with no passes, then you can match Jesse Alvarez.
Yeah.
You're wide.
All right. Well, Jim's going to take you to the Wayback Machine now. All right.
We'll take you way back, man.
Okay.
All the way back to 2010. June 2010. Lakers are playing the Celtics. During our graduation, people are holding up the score in the crowd. Dr. Hugo Pedroza is on stage and he's singing you a song. Nobody knows what the hell's going on, bro. We're all waiting. We're all patiently waiting to throw our caps in the air. They told us not to, but we were going to do it anyways because why not? We were 2010.
Yep.
We all had to wait in this really long line, but you had the better end of it because your name starts with an A, so alphabet Alvarez. So you just your diploma, but it wasn't your diploma that he passed you. It was a piece of paper that and then you pick up your diploma afterwards, after the ceremony. That day was special for a lot of people. Then we went to a grad night. A lot of us went to grad night. It was a lot of fun. Saw a lot of people fucking around. I was one of them. He was one of them. And then the next morning, I guess it was in the morning, because it ended at 5:30 in the morning or something like that. We all go our separate ways, man. We all went to colleges or whatever we were doing. And the whole premise of this whole podcast is just that, is what you were up to all this time. And basically from the point of graduation all the way until now. And, we just want to hear your story. And the floor is yours, bro.
Man, cool. Yeah. I think these past years have been a roller coaster. I think everyone can admit to, being kind of unsure on what was going to happen and feeling behind at a certain age and what you were actually going to accomplish and where you're going to be and all of that. And for me, senior year, so I was going to be going to San Francisco State. That was a school I got accepted in. I'd be going in August of that year. And At the time, I had the clothing company Virgin Liberation, so that was
Mhm.
like still just kind of really good. Keenan, old partner, and who was also on the wrestling team. He was already in Santa Barbara, but still kind of doing business, and we had an opportunity to open up a shop on Robertson and Melrose. Was one of our third partners. We got a huge hookup for it, so my summer kind of fell right into the shop, which was like an
Right.
extension of just kind of hanging with friends still, getting kind of the last hurrahs in, and making the space what we could. And we didn't know where the business was going to go. We knew that life was going to be coming, especially for me. Like I was going to be in San Francisco, so I couldn't do the same things like I was able to. So it kind of was like our last kind of bow out to doing this. And that was a great experience. We had a lot of great potential and cool customers and like celebrities that had come through and gotten picked up some stuff. And it was just like such an awesome way to kind of like run into, a new part of life. Um, and then, we handle that. So I make the move to San Francisco, and I'm there with a handful of friends from school, like Laura and Haley Bershey and Nico Della Rosa and Pablo. Like all of them had made the move up there to the Bay. So it was still kind of great to have people that you knew and it didn't feel too far, kind of a feeling. But I was there for communications and international business, and that was going to be my intended kind of goal. I wanted to get that perspective of being in business and having the clothing company and not having such a creative perspective on like what that was going to look like. And I hated it. I hated all the classes, the macro economics, and all the fun stuff that comes with it. It just wasn't what I wanted. And then you have all the standard classes you got to take, and it still feels
Right.
like you're in high school, and it's just
Yeah.
not fun. It's just like, you're still far from home, and you didn't know what you were gonna do. And then I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can do this here. I love the city. The city of San Francisco was always going to be special to me, and I had a
Mhm.
lot of great memories. I wish I would have stayed to a degree, but by the second year, I wanted to change back into design, graphic design. That's what I knew where my heart was at in that creative world. But the wait list was going to put me behind. It was just going to be wasting tuition at that point to get even considered.
Mhm.
Um, so by the end of 2012, I moved back to LA, moved back home, got a job to make it kind of work, but also was taking some SMC classes to clear the last of those kind of mandatory classes that you needed.
Right.
Um, and then applied to a few different schools, but I decided to finish at Cal State LA. And so it's a different change of pace. There's not like a real dorm setting. It's a really like a transport college. People are just driving in, going to school, and coming right out, and like
Right.
that's it. So it really wasn't about building any other additional bonds. It's just like let's just get the work done. So yeah, I ended up going in for graphic design, visual communications, and like what that world was going to entail. And it was great. I learned a lot. I fine tuned quite a bit. Keenan, I owe so many props to on being so big behind the brand. I had the pitching ideas, but I didn't have the knowledge yet to put it
Right.
together as well as he could.
Mhm.
And I kind of made my own lane after and really defined my skills with the classes, the students, learning online on the nightly basis, like whatever it's going to take, I wanted to get to it. And so I was working at Westside Rentals while also finishing at Cal State LA. And Westside Rentals is gone now, pretty much, but I was there. And during my senior year of our graduating year for Cal State LA, we had to come up with a project, and it had to be eco-friendly, brand new, concepts. You had to do all the branding, all these things. and I came up with Mason's Pomade, and I'll get into what that is after.
Okay.
But came up with this business, and it was a hit. It was just something that already looked like it was on the market, and I was so just so happy to know that that was people's responses. But I was just building my portfolio and then wanting to get into the world of design. And it was hard. I think all of us are just kind of struggled, just like what that world was going to look like, finding your first job. But funny enough, I actually ended up working for Hustler for about 4 years. Now, I didn't work for the magazine. I worked for the retail locations. I knew somebody that was in accounting, and it was a family friend, and someone was like, hey, they're looking for a designer. You're fresh out. Maybe just apply and see what happens. And I got it and left Westside Rentals, where I was making crazy good money, and especially in your early 20s, and it's something that was way less. But I knew that was kind of part of it in itself, and making a leap to a lower income to get more experience. And I was there for 4.5 years. And I did not love it. I think obviously it's Hustler, it's kind of just like you're getting into this daily of just erotica and novelty and lingerie and all these crazy, it was insane. And I thought I was gonna leave at some point, and I just got stuck. I just couldn't get out of it. Nobody was really hiring, especially like newer people that were graphic design, designers, and I ended up working at my way to being kind of like the senior designer for all the marketing, all the retail locations, all the online needs. So I ended up producing a lot for them in itself, but I couldn't do it anymore. And halfway through, I got in touch with a buddy of mine who went to Cal State LA. His name's Javi, and he actually created a business called Product of LA, and they do a bunch of like custom digital printing on shirts and shoes and hats and everything. He came up with a concept in the same similar in that our graduating projects make them into businesses. So he ended up doing that. And he also owns a company now called Bicep Boys. So he's like, I recommend checking it out because it's pretty great stuff. They're really on to something new right now. But him and I got back in touch, and he asked me, he's like, hey, how come you never made that business happen? Like, well, dude, it was so good. Like, why didn't you do anything with it? And I was like, I didn't even know where to start. The health and beauty care world, the liabilities of it all. Like, I didn't imagine it happening. But after that day, I was like stuck. I was like, damn, I wonder if I should just try to do it. Let me look into it. And so I started just kind of like falling for this project super hard, and like wanting to see what was going to have actually come of it. And I found some resources and putting it together, and I reached back out to him. And I was like, hey, I'm going to do it. Do you want in? And he's like, yeah, let's run it. So we started to kind of put the branding together more and more in depth. And I went a few routes of kind of testing private label products and the hair world and what it was going to look like, and we produced it. So now I've got this side business I'm trying to push, and doing the LLCs and doing the seller's permits and learning all that, also working at Hustler. So I found like a new drive to keep me going at my other job to make this happen. So that's really why I ended up staying. Is like, I don't like it here. I don't like the shit that I'm doing anymore, but it's going to help me pay for the things that I want to do. Let's make it happen. So I did the sacrifice. And Mason's Pomade started to really like take a real big turn. On my weekends, I would go from barbershop to barbershop and leave product and do consignment and hit every door and make it happen. And it started to really work. So kind of seeing this new upswing in the business, that I think this was 2019 now. So we're fast forwarding quite a bit already. But I was there from 2016 to almost 2020. I was at Hustler. By 2018, we went from 3 shops to 20 shops to 50 shops, and we were kind of like in a really cool spot. And we started to have retailers reach out to us. So it was like TJ Maxx was reaching out to us, and a lot of boutiques and collaborations, and it was just like such a different kind of turn But I actually ended up making clothing inside of Mason's Pomade, and it took off. I think people were so surprised, like, what the hell is a hair brand doing, making stuff that it seems so streetwear, and it really was complementing each other. And it was like, all right, we've got something here. Like, this is actually can really work, you know? So, um, finding myself in that, Hustler's not fun anymore officially. I'm 4 years in, I'm exhausted. I just did like 6 different grand openings in 4 months. I can't do it anymore. And I meet somebody, this guy named Urban, through a mutual friend, and he owns, or I'm sorry, he's a manager at a bar in downtown called Kanye Rum Bar, obviously rum focused bar. And I'm kind of expressing, I'm like, I need to get out of this place. You know, I'm done. He's like, why don't you come work for me? I was like, bartending, man, dude, like, I don't know, you know, that's a big change. And he's like, you know what, give me 1 weekend, and let's just see what you think. So now I'm doing Hustler 5 days. I've got Mason's 7 days, and I'm finally going to try this bartending gig at this other place on the weekend. Let me see what I can do with it. And it was a good time. It was good money, good experience. I had experience making drinks and just kind of going with it. I was like, you know what, this could actually work. And I was making so much more money in 2 days than I was at this other job. So I was in a situation. I was like, well, okay, this is not my career. There's more money. There's a way different experience of like hospitality and good feeling, and I didn't feel kind of like the toxicity of my job. I'm just like, this could actually be really good. So I put in my notice in February of 2020. I was like, cool, all right, let's do it. So I leave Hustler, I go to work for the company, go for a manager position. I'm in training, still doing Masons, and Masons, like, we've got all these projects coming up that everything's working out. And then March 2020, we get hit by the pandemic. Boom.
World blows up.
It was, I lost both jobs in a matter of 3 weeks.
Damn,
bro.
I was just like, what do I do? You know, and I think that time in itself, man, like, really just kicked things up super hard. And kind of left me in a place of just kind of the unknown, and what we were going to do, all of us, really. So luckily, you know, I had saved good money, and I had somewhere to be, and I was safe and all those things. But I now was kind of out of 2 positions and finding some opportunity and where I could. So I doubled down on my business and tried to, you know, find more home goods and connecting with people and like what we could do to kind of really keep it going still. And it, fortunately, I've had good support from family, and my dad is still a very big part of my life and was able to help me, you know, get through kind of a really troubling time. But it really kind of let me just grind in this new work of this concept, and we made the most of it during the pandemic. But I ended up working for the company, the bar company, after. Ended up running a bar for a while, and now do more compliance, HR focused stuff with them. But Masons had taken off. So now, as of really this year, we hit close to about 140 barbershops or boutiques. We're selling internationally now to Taiwan and Canada and Mexico. We've got a few collabs in the mix for this year, whether that's apparel focus or product focus. And it's booming. I mean, like, we've been able to kind of really make this turn. And, you know, being a self-entrepreneur is hard business, is why I have the backup of another gig that's one of the best companies I've ever worked for. But it allows me to still have the freedom of doing what I want to do, and it's never been shunned off. So yeah, you know, that's kind of like where we fast forward to now, these past few years, and, you know, already 4 years from the pandemic. It's like, yeah, we made a lot of progress. So it's quite a fast forward, really fast story of these years, but it just really felt like high school, San Francisco, LA, getting a job. Like, it just has these huge milestones with all the grittiness in between it, that it was just like, wow, what are we gonna do, you know? But Yeah, I think that's a big of it. Big part of
Damn.
it.
Damn, where to start, T? That's a wild time, man. That's
Yeah.
so much to unpack. Of course, it's
Yeah.
13 years, but holy cow, man.
I'm
Yeah.
still blown away when people are like, "Yeah, COVID 4 years ago." I'm like, "COVID was 4 years ago." Like,
Right,
damn, it
Right.
feels like it
yeah.
was yesterday. I don't even know. Time is so weird. Yeah.
I know. I hear it. Yeah. Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
so we talk a lot about like paths on this podcast, and you are not of abnormal behavior here. So it's like people start out of school and then they're like, fucking shit, I don't know what major I want. I don't know where the hell I am because they usually move away from home. And it's like trying to put all these pieces together. And then, like, common theme is like they find some sort of path. They clung on to something that they feel like they're good at and they pursued it, right? And for other people, it took like some people came on here, they changed their major 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, you know, and then they finally settled on one thing. Some people are still figuring out who've been on this podcast, but for you, you were like digital design. That's what I like. How did you first like discover that? And how did you realize that you had talent in that?
Yeah. I mean, the clothing business in high school was, so I was a huge fan of Rogue Status, and
Yeah.
I think everybody was that was from Santa Monica and Venice, and like that's
Yeah.
a brand that like everybody associated with. And I knew the owner really well. I knew he passed away a few years ago, but that business and Yo were huge reasons why I was so influenced in this. And I love the richness of like coming up with a concept and having a deeper meaning in the products and what they could actually, really mean. And so getting with Keenan, who had graphic design experience and was already kind of doing fun stuff, I was like, dude, let's make something happen. Like I've got some ideas. I think that would be huge. That, it would be fun. And we had like the high crime in LA, and that
Yeah.
was a big t-shirt, the Cali Soul, that was
Right.
another big t-shirt. And things that we got to like gain experience. Like I knew what it felt like to like make a design, and it didn't sell. And being in high school, not a ton of money, like a few $100s was a hell of a lot more than how it feels now, So it's like that was really a trialing time to like learn a business. And I think for me, like I had a advantage in that case of like for myself, because I kind of already knew what I wanted earlier on, that running out of high school, it's like, yeah, I want to do this. And I tried to do something else. I tried to go
Yeah.
international business and
Right.
communications. I tried to branch out, but I ended up finding right back into the same shell. I'm like, nah, I like this. I like this more. So,
I feel that.
yeah. And I think my favorite part is like, I love branding. I think that with the portfolio that I've created, it's been anything from like dispensaries to hair products to apps to other clothing companies that I've assisted with their branding. Like I love that part of it and creating that world. And I
Mhm.
get stuck. I've got my own kind of like log of things that like I want to continue to do even after this.
Mhm.
So like it's just like that extra energy is just like just what I need. It helps me keep going, honestly. Yeah.
I love that idea. Yeah, I think it's so hard from the outside to like understand the concept of like what goes viral or like what good graphic design is. Like, do you have any words to say like this is what distinguishes why certain things blow up, and like what the subtleties of a certain brand that you can think of off the top of your head of like, because I don't know, it seems like people just throw stuff at the wall and certain things just take off, and I don't know why. Is there like an underlying philosophy that you approach your work
Yeah.
with, or how do you approach the creative process?
You know, that's a good question. I can't say that we went viral and had this one thing that really took off for us. It took a lot of work, a hell of a lot of work to like get a concept across. But what I found in my own successes is like I start super simple with everything. I think
Okay.
like people can get really kind of taken away and carried away with like really coming up with these huge abstract projects. And
Mhm.
I have this rule for myself, like when I'm starting a new brand, start with 3 fonts. Those are the 3 fonts you're going to have to make it work. If you can tone it down less, do it less. But the simpler it looks, the more personality of the branding is going to start to come through. So even our Mason's Pomade logo now, I haven't changed it. That's been the existing one, and it's text, and it has a subtlety of a, like, when you see it, hopefully you know it right away kind of a feeling, and that's how I approach the projects that I do now, because people want to start up with a huge bang always. Like I want to make the most apparel. I want to have these amount of logos. I need an emblem. I need, like, you don't need to do all that right away. It's the crawl, walk, run feel that just start with something, honestly. Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack, because there's also a theme in your story of entrepreneurship. It started in high school. I remember those shirts, dude.
Yeah.
I remember Cooper used to wear Rogue Status like all the time.
He still does. I'm pretty sure he has the exact same shirts from high school. So
yeah, he showed us like on the Lost episode.
Yeah, on the pod.
No way. Of course he did.
Yeah.
But he also used to rock your shirt, and I feel like a lot of people around us would rock your gear. It just caught on, like locally at least, like very, very easily, because I mean, there's a brand associated with the story, and the story is like our friends made these shirts, so like why wouldn't we wear this, but as far as entrepreneurship, like that seems to be like your golden goose. That seems to be something that you think about often. Do you have other ideas as well?
Yeah. In regards to like other passions, or
just in general, does it stop at Mason's Pomade? Is that the only focus, or
no? I think I've got this business partner beyond Javi. He actually is the one that has been a huge asset to Masons, and his name's Mike, and he's part of more of the finance guy, but he has become quickly like one of my brothers, and even major events in my life, he's always been present for. And I've found somebody, and they say never mix, business with friends, and let alone family. That can get real messy. And I think I found something really different, because we started off kind of mutual, and actually my wife and his soon-to-be wife were best friends, and that's how we met. So kind of just like, kind of a one-off hanging out, and then just progressively gotten so much closer over the years that like I can't imagine doing business without this guy. And I know he's the same way. He went to school for entrepreneurship, so we kind of just like melted right into each other for that. And so we've got a handful of concepts, so it's like, okay, once this one works, let's let this be the project that made it all happen, and then we could jump to the next thing. So hopefully in the next few years we get to a new level of the business, and also find other opportunities to just like make something new. I think that we can't control ourselves on trying to find success on like, what that's going to look like. So just keep grinding. That's it, man. Keep grinding.
I love that. What's the point? Like, where would you like Mason's Pomade to be in, a certain number of years? What would success look like to you?
Yeah. So it's been 6 years since we started Mason's Pomade. Robbed of maybe, let's just say 2 of those, obviously with the pandemic. So a few things got set behind, but ideally, this is going to become a lifestyle brand. I think we've done the hair products, we've got apparel, we do home decor, we have like this full kind of identity that we're building, that like I want every major boutique in LA that's going to be around the streetwear hype world. I want carriers such as Cosmoprof, which is in the salon world, and Nordstrom, and all of these. I want that higher feeling of the business. And I want to just be able to say we made it. I think the goal is like, we're still doing fulfillment in-house. I don't want to do it anymore. It's exhausting, and a whole other tier in it. And we've got a team of 5 plus handful of ambassadors, but like it's a lot of work. So to be able to streamline, make Amazon a big focus, like just kind of find that passive income always kind of changing, that's where we want to get it to. So when I know that's been settled, if someone wants to invest, again with us or help us buy, hey, that makes a whole other opportunity right there.
Jeff Bezos looking at you.
Let's go,
Amazon. Let's go. Let's go, Jeff. Got a fine proposal for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wild.
Exactly.
I was gonna say it feels very organic. Like the way you're going about it feels like really really great. How much in e-commerce are you guys looking at Mason's Pomade? And do you obviously you mentioned Amazon? Is that like something that you guys are looking for at?
Yeah. We have Amazon now, so we've got all of our products on there. We have two of them that are fulfilled by Amazon. So continuing to focus marketing on that and A/B testing where we can to find new outcomes because it's so overpopulated with hair products and random stuff, right? So finding the unique flow there is ideally, but yeah, we generate quite a bit through e-commerce, but since we have these relationships with these barbershops and salons, a lot of it's wholesale too. So kind of still catering to them, but more focus on e-commerce is where we're going to see the bigger bang for the buck too, So trying to make that transition now. We'll see.
Dude, love that, man.
Yeah.
Best of luck to Mason's Pomade.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. But back to you, man. So your story is working at Hustler. It was funny because I looked at T when you said Hustler just to see if he recognized the brand. Of course he did. He had a big smile.
I always got a big smile, brother. It's all good.
No, man, that was bigger than usual. How was it your experience working there? Because now you don't work there anymore. So I mean, I don't expect you to badmouth them or anything, but
Yeah, I mean, dude, it was a great learning experience. I learned a ton of different stuff to help me kind of grow, but I would never relive that again. I would never go back for a lot of different reasons. But I think it was a time in life that okay, I did it. I tried. I left something. I got out of my comfort zone. I did something that was from college that I needed to do. Right. But I mean, yeah, dude, stress in itself, I mean, it could really take a toll on you. I think I was finding myself getting physically ill because of how stressed I was at work. And I knew that was not the sign that this cannot be good. I was overworked and underpaid. And I think that can happen to a lot of different people in certain moments where you're just nah, this is not for me. This is not going to work. So, finding positivity in that, I think, yes, ultimately I did learn a ton. And I think there's a lot of things I'm thankful for and even just getting it initially, but that chapter is closed and I'm glad to keep it tight and that's it.
That's solid.
Yeah.
A lot of people have corporate jobs that are just, are a little toxic in their nature. We're millennials and we know that firsthand. I mean, you see a lot of people on TikTok talking about it. So sharing your story, you never know, it might touch somebody listening. So I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
You recently got married, right? Where did you meet your wife? How did you meet your wife?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I met her actually at Westside Rentals. So this is when I moved back to LA, starting there. I worked there for maybe three years. Yeah. And I didn't know who she was for half of that time. We were in two different sides of the office, didn't really see each other, and that was kind of it. Did some shuffling, and she ended up joining my department at the time. And we were just friends. It was just kind of mutual coworkers. It was nothing. And we planned a work brunch, and we were all going to meet at Brick and Mortar. Yeah. Right. Which is no longer here in LA anymore, or in Santa Monica, which is super sad. But Brick and Mortar was a mimosa brunch spot that we all loved. And Sunday, and I showed up with Keenan. We were all hanging out, and she showed up and one other coworker. And mind you, there's 12 of us in the department, so only 3 employees showed up. So we're like, well, fuck it. I guess we'll just have some fun of our own then. And one thing kind of led to another in the flirting and all of that. And
she knows what she was doing. She knows.
Yeah, right. That's what I say to you. You've been planning. Yeah, but we just hit it off. It was just a different perspective and, kind of seeing where it was going to go and then just hanging out more and kind of making it happen. And here we are. We fast forward almost 9 years later. And then we end up getting married in September, and she's rad. She's a few years older than us. She would but she's awesome. Like I fortunate for everything that she's done for me and my stressful times, even at Hustler and the pandemic and just changes in general. I knew like, yep, this is the one, man. This is a good girl. I got super lucky and yeah, I'm blessed for it, man. Yeah.
Dude, we love hearing that, honestly, on this podcast. You know,
Thanks, man.
me and T will hit you up for pointers later.
Absolutely. No. It sounds like a lot of your story, there's a big component of, oh, my buddy was doing this at the bar and then he offered me a job. And so like, I feel like you did a very good job of like, you've always had a solid network. And I don't know if like you have any tips to the audience of how you maintain that network or like how you go about that whole process. I guess it's extremely important as an entrepreneur to be kind of constantly marketing yourself, but do you have any tips or things that you can look back and say like, oh, like I make 3 calls a week to people in my contact list, or is there anything you do to mindfully do that?
I mean, I think it's kind of great to your hot seat questions of like, did you have any beef with anybody, right? And like I mentioned that just kind of breaking bread with everybody. And there may be other people that feel otherwise, like, nah, Jesse was kind of an asshole, like who knows, but what that might be like. But in general, I've always tried to make the effort of just being cool with everybody. And I think like, I'm fortunate to say I'm a pretty social person and I like talking with people and I like meeting new people because finding this other random, oh wait, this person or we have some other connection or the common small world when you run into somebody that knows somebody that like that's one of my favorite parts. I really do enjoy. I think now with like having that experience in high school and having it in college, it was really helpful for me to kind of continue to grow. But from college to now, that those intimate relationships you have with people start to kind of fade. People that you were in contact with, like Tyler, dude, I'm so happy to see you, and I haven't talked to you in so long. You know what I mean? Like it's like being on the wrestling team to like fast forward to now. Like you and I were really close then, and it's kind of nice to have this like real icebreaker, And Jim, it's like same thing. It's like, dude, what a small like. The same setting of like, okay, great call, guys. So, but in the end of it, with the main question of like, how do you do it? I just find myself, I don't like to have any dull moment with anybody. If I'm at shoulder with somebody and I know I'm going to be there for a while, I'll make small talk. You can quickly read off, fuck off on somebody's forehead and that's fine, but in between all of that, it's like, just being friends with it and making small talk and being present, I think is really important. We get really stuck on our phones when we're in public. We, when someone leaves the table, it happens all the time. We jump out and pull it right out. It's like, there's an opportunity to make some small talk. It's great. And that my girl is a perfect example of that because she is a very just vibrant butterfly person and wants to just be social. We go out to dinner and I go use the restroom and I come back and she's already met the couple next to us, and it's just kind of like, oh, hey, they're going to the same show as we are, and it's like, oh, cool, so matching that energy. I think like we are who we surround ourselves with,
Absolutely. Right.
And the friends that we have, and it's like the mannerisms and the behaviors and all of that kind of comes with it. It's really like the new core front, and that'll always change. But I think as we get older, just kind of redefining that and seeing how we're going to grow from it is really important. So I just put yourself out there. I think that at the end of the day, if they didn't like it, who cares? You're never going to see them again, and letting that just be like a simple set of like, a mindset, it really does help, I think. My story sounds, and I'm hearing myself say it, it sounds buttery and it sounds like it hasn't been difficult in certain cases. It sure as hell has, but I think that it's just allowed me to grow more as a person and be more thankful for the things I've had and I do have. And, I can take a hat off and be like, it's been good, but keep moving. So yeah.
Dude, I don't think your story sounds buttery. I think that you made the best of it as time progressed, and I think that you're continuing to do so. But
losing 2 jobs during COVID sounded pretty bad to me. I was like, dog, that's rough right there. 2 jobs, man. Most people don't even have rough. 2 jobs.
I just sat, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, do I go back to hustle? Like, it was, that was a roller coaster time for sure. Yeah.
I became a lawyer during the pandemic, and I relate to you, bro. Like, it was
man.
hired You know, I just took whatever fucking job that was like available. You know,
Right.
Yeah. No, I hear it.
If I can give you the next 10 years and it would go exactly the way you wanted it to go, what would that look like?
Ooh, it's a great question. I think all of us kind of hope, you know, they don't, you know, money hasn't always been the biggest motivation for me. I get by with what I get to do, but it's a standard, you know, I hope I get to have children. I get to own a home. I hope to stay in Los Angeles but you know, how rent be out here is crazy.
I feel it, man.
So yeah, that might be a little tough, but I would love to just be able to create something that's mine and that's personal to me. The company I work for now is wonderful, and I would hope to kind of continue to grow in that. And making businesses, whether it's for myself or for other people, and being involved in those projects. I would love to have that be kind of a root of me every day, talking to new people for their things that they want to accomplish. And the funds come in, which is going to be helpful, but also just to be able to like conceptualize and keep that creative mindset going throughout it. Man, it'll be a win. Yeah, I need to travel more. I think with all the entrepreneurship, I let a lot of friendships and family time get away from me, because I've been just like, I'm working, I'm doing this, I got this meeting, I got this event. I let that kind of take the story. So hopefully within the next 10 years that I can rebuild that and finding a better foundation for myself and for the people that I care about, and kind of hoping for the best of it, honestly. But yeah, I think the 20s were hard, man. Our 20s were different.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. And I've heard somebody say this, that it's like the 30s is like your 20s, but you got more money now. And so, you know,
Yeah.
like it's still fun. It's still good. It's like you're still learning stuff and you're still partying your ass off on the weekend, but you're being an adult and more responsible at the same time. It's fun right now. I think this is like my favorite timeline. And it's just getting started. So seeing what walking into the 40s is going to be like, I mean,
Right.
40s are even better.
Yeah, we'll see, you know.
But then the arthritis starts to kick in at like 42, and you're like, bro,
Yeah.
I'm already slowing down at 30 now. I'm like, I go for a run, my knees hurt, and I'm like, damn, I'm not 22 anymore.
I look at some of the photos of me in high school, and I was tiny. I mean, like I was wrestling at like 119. I was just
you were
real small. Yeah. So seeing a huge timeline change of that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still paying for my injuries. I've had nonstop, and I'm like, man, still hurts. This was so long ago. Yeah.
So long ago. My injuries could have kids by now. They'd be like 18 years old. Like, what the hell? It doesn't make any sense.
For real.
Yeah. So another quote, I mean, we all know it, but like, is hope for the best, plan for the worst, right? Kind of stuff. So how do you see disruptive technologies like Mid-Journey, like the Chat GPTs, like all these kind of AIs impacting your career field, your entrepreneurial path? Like, what's the downside? What's the upside? How do you integrate it? What are your thoughts on?
Dude, I'm so for AI in itself. I think there's people, you know, a lot of people were affected, you know, with the Writers Guild and like, you know, these stories being written by AI and people losing their jobs and all of that. And like, that's horrible. But I do see there to be a really big benefit to that change. And the biggest component you cannot create is having conversation with people. You can have the AI talk to you and give you the best fucking answer, but that empathy that time you get to have to create that, you can't lose that. That's not.
Do you hear that, Jim? Our podcast is immortal. No Chat GPT can take the alumni pod. Nothing can do that. That's us.
I hear you, bro.
Yeah.
I receive
3
it.
robots talking, sick. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Right.
You know, like, but I think there's just like, yeah, I'm for it, and I think that if anything, it'll help me identify the ideas I have faster for things, for the relationships I get to continue to grow with and change and meet new people. Man, it just saves me a bunch of time and still make some money, you know. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
One thing we do on this podcast is we try to bring you back to your essence, Jesse. So me and T are gonna say our first memories of you, like how we remembered you in high school, in hopes that you take that and kind of go. I'm gonna start with T because T knew you better. Back then.
Right.
This is kind of the mushy part of the show where you just get like heaps of praise, right? We just try to be nice to you, but it's pretty easy to be nice to Jesse Alvarez. I mean, let's be real. Look at the boy. I mean, come on, like it's fine. I remember wrestling this guy. I weighed like 135 or something. I wrestled 130, 135, and I remember I took Gustavo's varsity spot my sophomore year. So respect. Shout out to Gustavo, but I'm sorry, brother. Yeah. And Jesse was like a 119, 125 maybe. So I do remember wrestling Jesse a lot and going to tournaments. I remember one time, I forget what tournament this was. I was pretty garbage. I was like the most average wrestler ever. But I was good as a freshman, and then as soon as I got to varsity, I just got beat up, right? But me and Jesse were at some tournament, and those wrestling tournaments take like 8 hours. They're just forever, Yeah. And so I think I had gone 0-2, like just 2 losses, and I was out, right? And it's like I forget how much weight to get to that point, to that tournament. And me and Jesse just like immediately went to some store and just bought a bunch of candy and like crazy shit after we both lost in the tournament. We're like, fuck this. We're just gonna go out and just destroy our bodies and like gain 10 pounds. And that's what the wrestlers were good at. Like every whatever, like Super Bowl or like it was all you can eat pancakes. It just like fuck everything else. So I definitely remember just like rubbing down with Jesse all the time after losing horribly in tournaments.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Good times, dude.
Definitely remember that. What about you, Jim?
Man, I just remember the shirts, man. I remember the swag. Jesse was a cool kid, man. Always had a smile on your face, and you just chill. I wish we had more classes and experiences together, but
right,
that's how it is. Just,
I don't think I had any extra classes with Jesse. No, I don't think so.
No, our graduating class was so big that like there's still some people that are like, "Where'd you go to high school?" And I'm like, "Oh, I went to Samo." Like, "Oh, what year?" 2010.
Right.
I was in 2010, and I was like, "We for sure have never met," and that's wild. Right. Like there were so many of us.
800 something. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
I knew you used to hang around Coop and Tate Viskovich, and those were the homies. And so friends.
I still hang out with those guys.
Yeah, dude,
that's wild. That's cool.
Yeah. Those are my boys.
We gotta get Tate next. Yeah.
Tate's rad. Tate looks like Superman and killing the game too. And
he's on the gear already, man. TRT, all this shit. He's on that.
Yeah, dude. He's awesome. I just saw them actually with Andrew Needleman's birthday a few months ago. We all caught up, but I think him getting married and then I was getting married. It was a lot of just like seeing each other more too, and the bachelor parties and the weddings, and kind of catching up after. And it was good. But yeah, those are my boys. They're still really relevant, which I'm happy about.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's time
to feed the ducks, Jim.
It's time again, bro. We have to feed the ducks.
Yeah.
Play that track. That means the lightning round's coming up next.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this is lighthearted. This will bring you back to like, sample specific stuff, basically. It's only 6 questions. End the show with this, but first one, best off-campus lunch spot.
I mean, hey, when we were able to cheat on the meals, I always did like L&L, the Hawaiian spot.
You've got a lot of L&L fans on this show. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
L&L and Tommy's, man.
In Tommy's, yeah.
Tommy's underrated. Definitely underrated.
I was always a fan of Bay Cities.
I was literally about to say that.
Never enough
time.
I don't know
how I forgot that.
The Italian mafia running that place, like it was good. You didn't get your card right, like the ticket thing, they'd throw it out and be like, next. I felt nervous when I was eating sandwiches there. It was not cool.
The move was every Wednesday when we had late start, we used to go before and pick them up. That was the move. We did that every week, every other week at least. Yeah.
That's definitely smart.
Question 2: hardest class you took in high school, or lowest grade, whatever.
I think. Oh man, I took AP history, and I'm totally blanking on that professor's name right now, but I did not pass. That was a hard class.
Flanders or Gao? I think those are the two. There was one more though.
Yeah,
Mr. Alvarado. That was another one. I remember him.
Yeah, that was definitely a one.
dang. Yeah, I'm totally blanking right now. That
Yeah.
sounds right though. But that was definitely one of the hardest classes. I was not a big math fan either, too, so I had some struggle in those. But I think that class was the worst. I was like, why did I even do this? Yeah.
Did you ever take a class with Richard McGee, digital design?
Yes, RIP, man.
That was cool.
Yeah, he was awesome. Actually, I did the high times in San Francisco design in that class. In the classroom, I was like, that one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't even know that was an option. I should have took that class.
We just designed for half the class and then played Halo at the end. It was great.
It's perfect. Yeah, he didn't care. He just yep, easy guy.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. Question 3. Which year of high school would you most like to relive? If you could wake up and relive any of those years.
Man. I think I'm stuck between my sophomore year and my senior year. My sophomore year, I was probably the most fit and just wrestling was going good and school was going good. I was just jiving. I think finding a rhythm coming into high school, I think that was a great year. I think what was why I'm hesitant to say the senior year is I had some drama then, and that's when I blew out my shoulder in wrestling too. So I had to have surgery. I got to miss all that pretty much that year. It just totally set me back. But it was a lot of just kind of cruising at that point too, which was kind of nice. It wasn't the heavy grind of what we were feeling in school. So, but I think that my sophomore year probably tops it.
I agree. My senior year, I was always I'm not getting into Harvard, guys. It's fine.
Right.
I was all stressed out freshman year. I'm getting into Harvard for sure. Early admit it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Junior year, I'm that dream's out. It's fine. It just doesn't. I'm on cruise control now. It's totally fine. Yeah. This one gets a lot of people. Question 4. Best restroom on campus to take a dump.
Oh, man. The science building. For sure.
Ooh.
It was it seemed to be the least traffic, and I had my last 2 classes there. I guess that would probably be the easiest.
That's legit. Yeah. I like that. It's crazy. Have you seen the campus now? Lately?
Campus is dude. I swear, when I went to Lincoln in Santa Monica, they did all the renovations a year after I left. Same thing with Sam. I was like, damn, dude, you guys got all hooked up.
I know. I went to Jams too. Jams has all turf and everything.
Dude,
Since we went there, I was like, damn.
We went to Jams when it was the hood, T.
I know. There was race wars every couple months all the time. That was wild. Question 5. Who was the hottest teacher at Samo? Guy or girl? Doesn't matter.
Oh, man. That's a great question. I think probably the 2 cutest was Miss Forer and Miss Gasparino. Yeah, I think Gasparino was the dopest teacher I had ever Cal Lit.
Right.
It just had a good vibe, It's just dang, she just was super chill. Yeah.
That's probably the top, brother. You could have done it, man. You could have pulled that shit off, man. We always hear people in the news 14-year-old student hooks up with 30-year-old friend. Damn. Rock. That's legit when you're the guy. It's not legit if it's the other way.
Yeah.
Gasparino, that's awesome. We got to get her on the pod for sure. We will do that. Jim.
Yeah, I know she still keeps in touch with a lot of different people too nowadays. So she's still hip with it.
Really?
That's legit.
Yeah.
That's legit. Last question of the lightning round is: what song from our high school era is still on your playlist today?
Oh. Car Service with Currency and Wiz Khalifa.
Oh,
that is still something that comes on, and I'm like, yep, that was a banger then. It still is now. Yeah, I remember
Black
being
and Yellow. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Old
we got
Wiz.
Cooper's Jeep, and he had these ridiculous subwoofers in his car, and he would always play the song. And it just kind of like anytime it comes up, I just laugh. I think about that time.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's epic. I love that.
All right, I'm gonna cut off feeding the ducks.
No more ducks.
No more ducks. This whole podcast for the remainder of it, whatever, at least. Last segment is we leave the floor to you, Jesse. You can tell anyone anything that you want to say to the entire class, words of inspiration to those who are listening, or whatever you want. You can leave it on a bad. You can be like F everybody, and we'll be like
F everybody.
Peace
What if
out.
Jesse just
Peace
leaves
out.
like that after the whole thing? He's just like,
Just end
"Fuck
it.
everybody."
Yeah.
He just closes. That'd be the most epic way
Inevitably,
to end
someone's
this
gonna
whole
do it for
Yeah.
sure.
I think, oh yeah, you guys liked me. I'm out, and then a peace. Yeah. Man. I mean, I appreciate you guys doing this. I think this is a great idea. I know Coop had mentioned it to me, and I was like, man, that's cool because we really didn't get to have a moment to kind of all get back together again.
Right.
So this is just kind of a really great intro to do. So props to you guys. I think this is awesome. Keep doing it. I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear what other people have to say too, which is going to be cool. But yeah, I think I had a lot to think about this week and kind of the questions and reminiscing high school and what that was like. And again, I mentioned what could have been different. Is something that we'll replay every once in a while at a random, I feel, but I'm also like, you know what? It is what it is. This was a good time in life, and fast forwarding up into this moment, all feels really meant to be. So I'm appreciative of it. I think if anyone else from our class gets to see it, I hope to kind of rekindle some relationships. I went to Michael Friedman's wedding with Holly Elander. Real high school sweethearts right there.
Right.
Who were just some of the best people, that I know. And I had that felt like a high school reunion. There were so many people I grew up with seeing.
Okay.
So I think if anything, just kind of rekindling those and finding opportunity to get back to that, I think that would be great, and plan for more meetups. I think it's easy to just, find a spot to meet out, even if it's at a bar. And I know a handful of them, so we can always meet one of those.
You'll be the bartender. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's really it. I think I'm excited for the future, and I appreciate you guys making me have a moment to relive some previous moments. So thanks, guys. That's all I got.
Anything you want to plug business wise or social media wise?
I was gonna say, how humble are you, bro? You didn't even plug Mason's. Come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I got the hat on, of course.
Nice.
He's on but yeah, Mason's Pomade. It's at Mason's Pomade is the best way to kind of reach me or the team. I live and breathe that business. So if anyone wants to get some hair products while we still got hair, my hair's getting lighter. But also just, some new gear. If you want a throwback feeling of some merch, definitely check it out. And yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Dude, love it. Just like that. That's the Alumni Podcast. We are done here. Thank you so much, Jesse, for coming on, sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it. Go buy as much Mason's Pomade as you possibly can. And that's it, man. And buy a shirt while you're at it, too.
There you go.
Just like that. That's
Appreciate
it.
you, Jesse. Of course. Thank you.
Cool. All right, guys. I appreciate it.